Hello everyone, Maxime here. I'm here to talk to you about the games I played in 2022, month of March. I actually already recorded this video, but then I realized I didn't put my headset on. Well, that was a wasted hour, but yeah, here I'm again. I played how many games? 23 games, 22 games, 23 games this month. Let's get started. So first game I played is Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall is a flip and write game. It's actually kind of a solo game um, where you have two huge sheets here, and it's actually a kind of a worker placement game because you get actual workers, which is weird for a flip and write game, but yeah, it's a big one. So you have those workers of different colors, and then you can use them to do different kind of actions. Here's the wall that you're gonna try to, let's say, build, and because they're going to be attackers every turn, they're going to attack you, and if your wall isn't strong enough, then they might give you negative points. And then on this side you have all the different civil actions. So civil, you have like the artisans, the church, the weirdo doing his bath thing, I don't know what that is, but and those combo all together. So if you really like those flip and right, roll and right, where you're like, oh, I'm checking this off, then I'm checking this off, then this and this triggers and this. This is great. This is a fantastic game. I played it a bunch of times. I think 7 times in a row. So it was pretty cool. Not sure about replayability. There's not that much variance in this game. There are no missions. You have cards that you play. You play one card in each turn. I think there are 6 turns. But those cards also direct which resource you get, a part of the resource you get, a part of the workers you get. So usually I just don't really check the mission. Instead, I check the resource because they seem way more important, at least in the early turns. So it's a good game. Replayability, I don't know, but it's a really fun game. Otherwise, I wouldn't have played it 7 times in a row. So that's Hadrian's Wall, 7 out of 10 for me. I played another game of Undaunted Normandy. This is great. This is a good game. It's a game where you are it's deck builder, where you have troops on the map, and the health of your troops is actually the cards in your deck. So if you have like 3 scouts in your deck, well, then it has like 3 life. And every time one scout gets shut down, you have to find a scout and discard it and remove it completely from the game. So we played one mission which was asymmetric, which is great in this game. So I was like in the middle, and my opponent was at the bottom, and he had a bunch of snipers on top. And those snipers, they completely wrecked me. But I managed to go on the side, and it was fun. I was almost there. I was about to win, but I didn't draw the right card at the right time, and then he managed to sneak upon me and win the game, because you have to control those areas here. Usually you have like to control 5 points, or sometimes there are a bunch of other missions that I think there are 12 missions in the box. We did 3 so far. But in our mission, it was control 5 victory points, and I was almost there, but I was like one draw short, and he won by gaining the initiative, because one of the cards you play is always for his value, which is the initiative value, to say if you're playing first or if the opponent is playing first. So it was really close, which is always good in such a game. So it was a lot of fun. It has dice rolling. If you don't like that, maybe it's not for you. But if you don't care about losing on a dice roll, or losing because you don't draw the right card, because you just play for the fun, it's a great game, great skirmish game. That's Undaunted Normandy. It's rate is a 7 right now. Played the Magnificent. I haven't played Magnificent. I don't know how to pronounce that. The Magnificent. Yeah, sounds right. So this game, you do 3 actions in this game, but it's not that easy. So you are trying to prepare for like doing spectacles and showing magic tricks. To do that, you need what? You need those polyomino shapes, which represent like tents that you have in your area, where you can host the magicians. Then you need like performance areas, which are here. And you need those crystals that you get here, and then you need like those magicians that will do something, and they require well, some require some crystals, and they always require some of those areas. And that's the game. And how do you play it? Well, it's a dice drafting game. So you roll the dice. There are 3 different colors and white dice. And then you pick a color. Let's imagine he picked this 5 here. He put it on one of his cards. There was 4 cards. Is it 4 3? I'm confused now. 4 cards, yeah, 4 cards. And then this die will actually have a value of 5. So this means that the power of your action will be this color and has a value of 5. But then if you pick another die of the same color, well, it's the sum. So this next die, this 6, for example, will have a value of 11, which is way stronger. If you see here, for example, on this side, you see what kind of tile you can take and how many you can take based on the power of your value. Like if you have a 9, you can pick 1 big and 1 small one, but you have a 15, you can pick 1 big and 2 small ones. And this is the cool trick about that, because at the end of each year, you have to pay for the highest numbers you have. So here he would have to pay 11 gold. If he doesn't have the 11 gold, you get like negative victory points. So each card has like a special power. Like here you can turn around the die. Here you can get a value +1. Here you get 1 coin. And the bottom part of this card is a mission. So this is like objectives that you need to reach to get additional victory points. And the 3 actions are getting those tiles, going around here to gather all those crystals and get like additional of those 10s to do the spectacle. And then performing, which is basically those cards here that you perform, and you need the different things, and then they will give you victory points, and they will give you gold. And that's the game. But it's super neat because of the dice drafting, which is super cool. And you have also assistants, which are this small black ones. I don't see any here, right? Those here. And you can use them to do like special actions, like get some of the posters, or here everyone has like unique actions that only he can use. And then you get one new one every year. But you only play 3 years, well, I call it 3 years, 3 rounds and 4 actions. So that's a total of 12 actions. And that's the game. But it's really fun. It's really tight. And from the money, the first round, you're like, how am I going to get 11 money? No way. And that's so cool about this game. I haven't played this in a long, long time, and I'm really happy that we played it again. So I rate this an 8. So I'm really, really enjoying this game. We played another game of Stroganov. I already talked about this one. It's a unique game where you are exploring, I think, Siberia or something like that. You are hunting animals for their furs, and then you can gather those. Once there are no more animals, you can gather those terrains, and they will give you victory points. You can build settlements here. They will give you victory points at the end of the game. And the unique thing about this game is you always, I think it plays in 4 years or 3 years, and you always start here. And then you can move. You have like those horses, which are like those horse token. So you can move 1 for free, and I think 1 is like 1 horse, and then 2 is like 3 horses, and 4 is like 6 horses. You can maximum move of 4 basically. And so it's not easy to go to the end. So it's you have to move. And at the beginning, everybody is like on the same spot, so you have to be careful, because if you say, I want to do this and then next this, well, maybe somebody is going to be in front of you and then he's going to play before you. So it's always a little bit tricky, and that's the good thing about this. And then every time somebody takes like one of those tiles, well, you jump over it. So that means if this tile was gone, I could jump from here to here, and it's just one movement. So it changes the dynamic of the game. There are some unique tiles that you can take that are here at the bottom. There are some objectives that you can get. And there's this weird music track that can give you bonuses. It's a very cool game. It's unique. That's why I like it. I've never seen a game like this where you always start here and then move on, and it's a funny game. I like it. I enjoyed it the last time we played. I rate this a 7 right now. I played some more Magic the Gathering. Like always, I play Commander. Kind of want to draft one day again, but we never get 6 people together. But maybe one day we can draft again. That would be great. We played some Commander. I have a bunch of new Commanders. There's Kelsian, which is like a a pinger. He just taps and does 1 damage. You give him Dastage and you kill a bunch of creatures. This is fun. I like this kind of decks. And another a big dragon. He comes in, he attacks right away, and then you can cast spells from the top of your library for free. Those were pretty cool. Those were new ones. They work quite well, so I was quite happy. Then I played Barrage. Barrage, I rate this an 8. This was a fantastic game. I got crushed, but it was fantastic. Well, not to get crushed, but it was fantastic to play the game. So this game is all about Barrage and turbines that you build, and they will give you energy, and this energy are like victory points, or can give you victory. No, actually, the energy gives you energy, and then you get contracts that can give you victory points. What's unique about this is that you have those water drops, and they always come from the top of the mountain here, and they go down. And if there's a barrage, it's gonna get blocked there, like you see here. There's 1 drop blocked here. But then if it's used, like for example, if that player, the black player, uses this, well, with this turbine here, he will send it here to be processed, and it's going to generate electricity here, and then it's going to continue its movement, and then it's going to stop here. This is a neutral one, so everybody can use this one. And then it might flow and continue flowing, and this is the cool thing about the game. Well, you not only can you block the others, but you can also control where the water goes. And so that's really a unique way of playing. And it's a worker placement game where you have tons of workers and you feel like, oh, I can do a million things. But no, because the spots cost like 2 or 3 workers sometimes. So that's really cool. It's really cool. I like worker placement game a lot. And this was really, really crunchy, really like you have to calculate and see, okay, if I go here, what happens? If I block here, it's great, but maybe there are no drops coming, because you see when the drops are coming, which is also random. So maybe you have to force the water to come, but then it has to be worth it. So for example, this guy built in front of this guy, which is something you can do in this game. It costs more to build here, but then you block all the water coming in. Well, here it looks like there has been so many water that both of them have water drops to use. So that's a cool thing about this game. It's really tight, and it's really fun. The special powers kind of also cool, but I couldn't really abuse mine. It was my first game, and it's not an easy game, so I want to play this again. This was great. So it's Barrage. I rate this an 8 right now. Then we played Mansions of Madness. I heard a lot of good things about it, but I was kind of disappointed. We played 2 games. The first scenario, I think it was the first scenario. First game, we went through it, and we got crushed. Well, one guy got insane, and then insane again, and he died, or something like that. Then the second game, we played the scenario again. We knew exactly what basically was going to happen. A few things changed because we were 2 instead of 3 players, and we still got crushed completely. Like at some point, I was like having 0 damage, and I had like 6 health, and in one random night event, I got like 5 damage. That felt really bad. That felt like, well, random event. It's not like I attacked a monster and he hit me back. No, there was like, it's a random event that happens at night. And then this thing happened. It was really weird. And then in like 3 turns, there was nothing on the map, and we were full of health, with me being insane and crippled, and we had 3 monsters on the map, and half of the house was on fire. That was weird. I didn't like that. So the game concept is cool with the 2, like you have a health bar and you have the mental health, and so you have to manage both. This is cool, but the attacks are kind of weird. Like my buddy is attacking with a machete, he does 2 damage, and I attack with my bare hands and I do 5 damage. I'm like, okay, that's weird. So a bunch of things I didn't like. I was kind of disappointed in this one. I rate this a 6. It's a cool co-op game, but I think you also have to rush through and not check all these question marks, because, well, they take you time and you have just 2 actions per turn. So if you check a bunch of question marks for nothing, you lose like 2-3 turns. And I think time is really important in this game. You have to rush through it, otherwise you just lose, which is what happened to us. We knew exactly what to do. We optimized our moves, but we checked everything. And then we ran out of time, and the monster pop up, and we killed the big guy. We destroyed his altar or whatever, but then we were like here, and we had to go all the way back here, and the house was completely on fire. Oh, we were back here. The map was a little bit different. There were like 3 monsters in the past, so yeah, not so great. That was Mansion of Madness, second edition. I rate this a 6 right now. Then I played Targi. Targi, great 2-player game, very simple game, but very unique. So you have this area of cards around it, and you have cards in the middle. The cards in the middle are from those 2 stacks. They are, well, cards like this that you gonna build a tableau with 4x3, and then you have goods. So those are the goods. And every time you take a good, you take the other card and replace it with it. And every time you take one of those cards, you take a good card and replace it with it. And what's cool about this game is that while you have 3 workers, you're gonna put your workers down on the sides. So you don't choose exactly what you want. You just say, okay, I'm gonna put my guy here. So I'm gonna get this bonus. And then the other guy puts one guy maybe here. And then I decide, okay, I'm going to put my guy here. So what this means is that now there is an intersection. And then I put one of those round cubes in the intersection. So I get this, this, and this bonus. And then I'm going to put my third guy, maybe I'm putting him here, so I get this intersection now. So I'm going to get this, 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 this. And this is the whole game. There are special effects on the sides, like this draws like a random goods and stuff like that. Not going to go into detail here. And this is cool about this game. It's kind of very tactical. So you have to see, okay, what does he want? What do I want? Do I want to block him, or do I want to kind of help myself? Or maybe I can do something that does both. And this is the whole game. This is great. It's a fun game. It's like an hour game. I had a lot of fun playing it. I think, lost by 4 points, like 28-32, something like that. Because I kind of really messed up the last turn. But it was fun. I like it. Targi, 8 out of 10. Then we played Boonlake. Boonlake is also a great game by Alexander Pfister. So Boonlake is a card-driven game where you have this unique action selection system. So here you have a bunch of actions that you can do. You can do what? You can put down tiles on this map. You can put down dudes on this map, and then you can put cows on the grassland, and then you can evolve your dudes into houses, and then you can evolve your houses into cities or whatever they're called. So and the game has resources kind of, but you don't actually have resource goods except for those vases here. So there's like wood, you see it here, it's bricks, and then stone, and then metal. And based on where you ship, you have 2 ships, where you put them, you get those goods, and then you can reinforce this to get constantly, like here he has +2. You don't really see it. Maybe I can zoom in here. So he has +2 on the bricks. So now he has 3 bricks because he has the boat here. He has 1 stone and he has 1 metal. And then there he can play cards with that. So the cards always cost stuff. They might cost coins. Coins is the main resource of the game. But then here, like for example, this costs 2 wood and 2 stones. So at the time he played this, he needed to have 2 woods, which, well, actually it's not possible to play this right now. Makes no sense, but yeah, just to get the drill. And then those are the actions. Every time you pick an action, you pick it out and you put it at the bottom. So if you pick it on top, you can move on the lake a certain number of spots. If you want to retake a spot that is at the bottom, you lose a bunch of points. So that's not great. And then moving this around, you have a small boat that you move here around the lake. You see here the boats. So you go like this around here, come back here, and then run down, and then the game is over. So it's also the timer. So you can kind of rush. If you do a 4-4-4, you're going to end the game faster. Yeah, and the thing is, every time there is an action for you, there is also an action for everybody else. So you're never bored. You're always playing a card, or maybe putting down a worker. Here's putting down workers, or putting down a cow. Of course, you have to calculate and see that, because those cost resources or money or whatever. So you need to have those cost cards that you need to have. So you need to calculate. But most of the time, you do stuff during other players' turns. So it's never boring, which is cool. There's also this lever mechanism where you can use those levers once per round. And every time you go to one of those blue, well, I don't know, bridges, it's a new round. So it's a new round, and then you put all the levers back up and you can reuse them. And there's also an intermediate scoring. So it's a pretty good game. I really liked it. It's 8 out of 10 for me right now. Boonlake. Played some more Marvel Champions with my boy. We played Scarlet Witch with Doctor Strange. I think this was cool. So only one game this month, but I think we're gonna play way more. Well, in April. Played Brave Rats. It's an 8-card game. So everybody has those 8 cards. And they have like, well, everybody plays a card. And then who has the highest power wins. But everyone has a kind of special ability. So if you play like the prince, well, you win. Unless there is the princess. Because the princess just well, it's a princess. So of course the princes win. So that's the whole game. It's 8 cards you play, and then you try to outsmart your opponent. It's kind of cool, but it's a very small game. We play this in 15 minutes or something like that. The rate is, I think, a 6 right now. Yeah, 6. That's Brave Rats. Formosa Tea is a worker placement game, which is kind of cool. You have those tea cubes that are here that you can gather. So you go and put down the cubes, and then you're gonna put them in on your player board. But then there is like a certain degree of dryness or wetness that depends on those tiles here. So for example, if I take something from here, it's gonna be really wet, and wet tea leaves. Well, if you don't work them out, it's going to be crappy tea, and crappy tea doesn't sell so good. So here are the contracts that you do, and you need to find a way to dry them out and so on. So here you have different, let's call them tech tracks, where you can have a special effects. And then you have two kinds of workers. You have the workers, the field workers, they can just work here. And then you have the masters, they can also go here and like process the tea. So every time you go here, you take all the tea you have here, you put it in your processing area based on the tea it is, and then once the guy is out, it's processed. But once he's gonna move on here if somebody else puts a worker here. So if I have my worker here and somebody puts a worker here, I can move on 1. And if there's somebody else puts a worker here, there are 2 workers here, I can move on 2 and get all the bonuses. And those bonuses usually somehow allow you to dry the tea. And then you have to do those objectives. There are also some events for the different years. It's not a very complex game, but from what I've told, the rule book is really shit. And from what I saw in the video, well, there was not a good video either. So we were a little bit confused about the rules. But once we got it, well, actually, I think we completely ignored those because we were so focused on small things in the rules, we were not sure. So once we got it, it was a good game. Now those player powers that each one has a player power. They are very important, and they are, well, they are forcing you into a certain strategy, and if you don't follow that, you kind of no chance. So it was a cool game. Right now, that's Formosa Tea. I rate is a 7 right now. Then we played Merchants of the Dark Road. So Merchants of the Dark Road is kind of well, it's not really work. It's a pick up the delivery game because you're gonna pick up stuff like goods. Those are the different kind of goods that you can pick up. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So there are different kinds of goods that you can pick up in different areas. So you have the market where you can buy them for their current value. Like this is 1, this is 2, and this turns around. And the great thing about this, it's magnetic. You just throw it in, and it's just magnetic. It's magic. Awesome. So what you're going to do, you're going to get goods here, you're going to get goods in the dark market, you might even go to Rune of Unity to also gain goods. And then with those goods, you're going to either sell them to those, those people, those heroes, to gain money. And then those heroes, you're going to pick them up and you put them on top of your car or whatever that is. And how the game works is like you have those dice, and you always take 1 dice and push one of those other dice up. And then you're going to move your car here a number of space. So if I move, for example, this die here, I'm going to move this one up here. So I'm going to have a 1 movement. So if I'm here, I can only move here. And once you always stop at the intersection, and you can do either this or this. So you can choose one of the 2. So you have to calculate how to go around here. And then you're going to put a bunch of goods inside your car. And then you can also go on expeditions. And expeditions where you're going to get, you sell those, you get first the Queen's Commissions here, which are basically missions. And then you go on expeditions to deliver those goods. And this give you fame. And the thing about this game is there's a fame track, which is here. And there is the money. And none of those are the victory points. It's actually, you have to have the same kind of fame and money, because the lowest of the two will be your victory points at the end of the game. So if you have a 50 money but just 20 fame, you're gonna suck because you will have 20 victory points. So you have to do a balancing act between those two, which is kind of the neat thing about this game, and it's kind of tricky. And the good thing is, when you go on expedition, well, if somebody else goes, you can actually tag along. You know, you don't get a bunch of bonuses, you get some, but then you can go along, and if he goes in this north area, let's say he goes to North Break, you can decide to go to one of those two, and maybe you have something to deliver there. It could be a hero, or it could be one of those commissions. So that's also the cool thing. You have to see, okay, who is going where? Maybe I can tag along here. But then if he doesn't go there, you're kind of forced to go there, and then he will tag along. So that's a cool thing about this game. Bunch of shitty micro rules. Confusion. I think we lost at least half an hour just checking the rulebook, which sucks, because it's not very streamlined. So, but the game is pretty solid. I want to replay it again, just now that it's more clear, because there are, like, for example, there are those pets that you get when you travel, and I actually never use them because it was already a lot of things to think, and I didn't use them. But they are very strong powers. They're also like those golden die. We don't see them here. Yeah, you see it here. Those golden die, when you can get some, and then what you do is you use one normal die and you put the golden die next to it. You can use two action, like for example, if I'm here, I can do an expedition and the dark market, and I can use the building here, so which is very strong. And I can ignore those two things for the first game completely. Because it was much, so, and it was very slow also. So it's Merchants of the Dark World. Want to try it again? Right now I rate this as 7. Then I played Tiny Epic Quest. So it's a very small game. Tiny Epic series. The box is like this, very small. It's a bunch of cards that represent, like, you build them up, and it's like a terrain. And then you have your meeples that are going to go around and do 3 things: get spells, explore, how are they called? Temples, I think. Yeah, I think it's temples, and fight monsters. That's what they do. And how do you do that? Well, you get those movement cards. Like, for example, the Griffin here allows you to move like in diagonal. So if you are here and you can take the Griffin, you can go either here or here or here. And because each card has always 2 locations, and you can choose where you go. So you can go here, here, or well, actually diagonal would be here, 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 or here. You can pick one of those 2, or you continue and then you go one of those 2. Every time somebody plays a card, you can tag along, so you can do the same thing. So you have to calculate, because you just take 2 cards. Where we played 2-player games, so everybody took 2 cards, but you have 3 people. So you have to calculate to make something that makes sense. And then there's a bunch of objectives. There's a bunch of items you can get. There is a bunch of randomness in this game, like you reveal an objective. Oh, I just got it. 3 victory points. Happens. That's like this. It's also a dice-driven game, so there's also this. But in a small box, there's actually a lot of game in this very small box. So that's pretty cool if you want to take this like on a field trip or something. It's pretty cool. So Tiny Epic Quests. I rate this as 6 right now. Then we played Kanban EV. That's not a small box. That's a big box. That's a big game. So Kanban EV is a game where you're gonna... Thematically, I think you're a manager that does a bunch of things in the company, and nobody knows exactly what you're doing, because you're doing a little bit of everything. You're going to go to the stock and get some pieces. Then you're going to get plans for cars. Then you're going to make those plans better, make those cars better. Then you're going to push out cars from the production line. Then you grab those cars, put them in your garage. Well, I have no idea what the hell that guy is doing, but you are all guys that do this. So never seen that in a company, but it doesn't matter. The game is pretty good. It's actually really, really good. So how do you play this game? You always have this track here where you can put workers on. And the thing is, the good thing about this game is, like, you put your workers on, then you, well, resolve them by putting them down. So he will put down, then him. This is Sandra, which is the boss. and she always has a negative effect. So every time she does something, she's gonna check, okay, who is the lowest level? This is the testing. So basically your experience in that area. And the lowest one is going to be tested and probably is going to get a bunch of negative victory points. And she's going to move along. She's also the timer for the game. And what you're going to do is you're going to use your guys, and then this blue guy is going to be first to pick the next round. But he can only go where it's free. So he can only go here or here or here because, well, this one, for example, he can't go there because there are already two workers. And this is a really neat system. Because it allows you to kind of plan and kind of block people and kind of like think, okay, if I do this, then I know that Sandra is going to skip this area where I really suck at, and so she's not going to evaluate me. So it's pretty cool. And what you're going to do is you're going to get those speech tokens that will allow you to during those meetings to well, basically trigger some victory points. You will get points by putting out cars. You will get points by testing designs like this. Those are like tested designs on cars. It's a very complex game. I'm not going to go into the detail, but it's actually very smooth when you play it. I played it 2 times first game. I was really great. I completely crushed it. And the second game, I was so bad. Like I didn't manage to get speech tokens and didn't manage to get the objectives done. I was really far behind. But it was still fun. I really like this game. Right now I rate this 9. I rate this a 9. So right now that's my favorite Vita La Soda game. So that's Kanban EV. Moving on, a not so good game. Fort. Fort is a small deck builder where the deck you have is kind of random cards. And you're gonna get 2 resource, which is toys and pizza, and then based on that you're gonna build your fort up and gain some victory points. What I don't like about this game is the cards are full random, and then you get like you start with I think 8 random cards. You have like 2 which are fixed, but then you get like 6 other random cards. And then when you draw 5, and then with the cards you don't play, you actually have to put them here in your yard, and other people can pick them up. So even if you try to kind of build your deck up, at some points there are some cards you can't play, and then other people will pick them up. And it's just, I don't like this at all. Thematically it makes super sense, and it's I understand why people like it, but it's a very random game. Yeah, too random for me. It's not my style of game. I rate this a 5 right now. That's Fort. Miniquest Adventure. That's the biggest disappointment of this month. So it's a kind of a mini dungeon crawler where the cool thing about this game is there's like a map book. So you're gonna do map. You're gonna do explore like based on this book, which is cool. It's always 5 dungeons. So it's always 5 level, one dungeon. And at the end there is a boss who has like special effects. Okay, but then every single mob that you fight before the boss is the same. So it's either attacking you close or range, and that's it. Super boring game, really boring. One of the worst material I have ever seen. The cards, they are not cut right. They stick together. I just want to throw this game away. It's really bad. I didn't like it at all. I kind of forced myself to finish the game. I thought it would be a cool thing to play with my boy, but I'm never gonna play this again. So that's Miniquest Adventure. The only cool thing about Miniquest Adventure are actually they sent some files to do 3D printing, and my buddy printed those miniatures, which are actually kind of cool. And I'm gonna use those miniatures for my other dungeon crawler games, but the game is crap. So that's Miniquest Adventure. I rate this a 3. Then we played Village. Village is a worker placement game, which is has a unique mechanism where time is a resource. So you can use time in different areas to get goods instead of paying with those cubes that you gather. But then you move around this track, which is your time track, and every time you move around completely, one of your guy dies, and then you put, based on where he is, you're gonna put him in a specific area of this book or in the common graveyard. So that's a really cool mechanism. I haven't seen that. We played this with a bunch of expansion because this was like full of water and there were like another brewery building somewhere. I don't know exactly. We played this with a bunch of expansion. It was really good. I really liked this game. This was fun. And it's kind of unique. I've never seen this mechanism before of people actually dying. It was fun. So that's Village. I rate this as 7. Then I played The King is Dead. The King is Dead is a actually a very simple game from rule perspective. There are those areas of England, and then there was always each turn there's one area that's going to trigger, and based on how it triggers, you're going to put one of those discs down. So if it's like, for example, this area triggers, well, yellow has the majority, so you're going to put a yellow disc down. Okay, so if this area triggers, well, it's pink that has majorities. You're going to put a pink disc. Here, it's a tie. So if it's a tie, it's basically nobody has the advantage. None of those three, let's say, groups of people. I don't know exactly who they are. Then it's kind of France taking advantage, and you put a black one. There are 2 ways the game can end. One, we finish everything, and there are a bunch of discs on the map, and the one that has the most discs, so let's imagine there are 4 of those pink discs. Well, every time you're going to play cards, you're going to get one of those cubes. So if there are 4 discs, it's the one with the most cubes of that color, in this case pink, that wins the game. And the cards you're going to play are, for example, this card is you put 2 blue discs in a certain area, and every time you play an action, you also grab one cube. And this is how you control who are you going to actually side with. Are you going to side with blue, with yellow? But you can also, the second way the game ends is if France has, so if there are 3 ties and France comes in 3 times, then it's a draw. And then it's who has the most different ones. So if I have like 2 blue, 2 yellow, 2 pink, and you guys have like, well, you have more of one color, then I win because it's a tie, and then it's a different rule set when you play this game. There are just a bunch of cards. You're just playing your cards. I think there are 8 cards actually. You're playing your cards, and based on that, you try to get advantage and plan something. It's a cool game. I don't think it really worked well with 3, in my opinion, because it felt like, well, 2 people started battling, and the last guy just waited because he kept all his cards, and then he just, at the end, we had no more cards, and then he was just like, well, I have those 3 cards left, and I'm just going to do this, and then I probably win. The funny thing at the end was really, we were all the 3 discussing how he could win. Like, no, you have to do this, and then this. No, this doesn't work because of this, and this was fun. I would like to play this with 4-player, because it's like a 2 versus 2 mode. That would be fun. Try it out. Right now, I rate this as 6. That's The King is Dead, 2nd edition. Then I played Mobile Markets. Mobile Markets is the follow-up to Smartphone Inc., which I never played. And there's a cool system, which is like those, you have 2 of those things. And based on how you set them up, you are going to see a certain number of icons. And this will control your turn. And what you're going to do is you're going to try to sell cell phones. But for that, you have to build cell phones, a certain number, and you have to see what kind of quality they are. And then you have to find the right people to sell them, because those people, they don't buy expensive phones, for example. So it's all a balancing act between all that. You have those cards that can give you points at the end. Well, it's actually money, but is it money? Yeah, it is money. I don't remember. So it's a really neat game. It's a neat system, and this system is really cool with the 2 cards. We played this at the beginning of the month. I almost forgot everything about the game, but it was really fun. I had a lot of fun. That's Mobile Markets. It's actually a smaller box game. Then I played Ascension. Ascension I haven't played in a while. I saw it in the top 10 list, and I was like, well, let's try it again. I played it online. It's a deck builder game. It's cool, but what I don't like is that you have like this middle row, and this middle row is everything you can do. So if you have cards in hand, and let's imagine you have like you can buy something for 7, which is huge. Well, maybe there's nothing for 7 there. Maybe there's stuff for 1 and 2, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna buy one thing for 1. Okay, another thing for 1. I'm gonna buy another thing for 1. Oh, now a thing for 6. Well, I have only 5 crystals now in my hand, so I can't buy it. And that's kind of what sucks at this game. This row is fully random. Sometimes you have a lot of power. You can kill a bunch of monsters. There's not a single monster in the row. Yeah, so that's kind of the sad thing about this game. But the mechanism and the card, how they combo together is really cool. So if you don't mind having like getting crushed by random cards, and you can't really get rid of them except for buying them, which also sucks because then you have to buy cards that don't work with your deck. So yeah, I think I rate this a 6 right now. That's Ascension deck building game. Then I played online Through the Ages. Through the Ages is a big game. It's a civilization building game. It takes 3-4 hours if you play it physically. Online, it goes way faster, which is cool. I played this on a tablet. The bots are completely crushing me. They are really strong, but it's a really fun game. So you're going to improve your production of food, your production of metal, then your production of knowledge, and then victory points. And then you're going to use those cubes to like also build like military units, and you're gonna try to make the most points at the end of the game. And there are different leaders, and there are different, I think, 4 different ages, and each leader will do something special, and then the card's getting stronger and stronger based on how it evolves in the ages. You can attack each other, you can declare war to somebody else, you can explore territories to gain like special bonuses. You can build like I don't know, Marvel buildings. I don't know how to call those. Merveille, I don't know how to say that in English. And they will give you something special. It's a very good game. It's a very difficult game. It's one of the few games where in the rule book there is a 1 point during your turn where you can concede. Because sometimes if you get like crashed by 2 people attack you twice in a row, your game is over. You're not gonna do anything. You're just gonna. There's no way to come back to this from this game. So, this is funny, but it's a really good game. If you like really complex civilization building game, it's probably one of the best. And I rate this 9 right now. That's Through the Ages. And then the last game I played also online is Spirit Island. Spirit Island is for me the best solo game that exists. It's a card game where you basically control a spirit that is trying to protect an island from the European invaders that come in and want to take over the islands. Those huts are the local people. They call the Dahans. And then those are like the European guys building cities and kind of destroying your island. And you're going to try to push them off, either by burning them alive, which is what this guy probably do, or by doing something other stuff. There are tons of different spirits, and they play completely different. So how you play, you have cards, you have basic cards in your hand. Each spirit has 4 cards in his hand, and then you get a bunch of those tokens here, and those represent your presence, where you are on the island. And then they uncover how many cards you can play and how many energy you get each turn. And they might also uncover some symbols, which are important for the cards, because the cards, they have those symbols, so they have they have effects. Like one card could say, okay, destroy a small city or do X damage, something like that. But then there are also those symbols, and based on the cards you play each turn, you will get a bunch of symbols, and those symbols, they have to synergize with what your guy does. So for example, he needs white and green symbols for his, let's call it first attack, and for his second attack he needs those symbols. And this is the whole game, which you have to calculate and see what you can do. And how this game works, the opponent always does one thing. He's going to explore. So he's gonna add new guys. He's gonna do attack in one area, and he's gonna do build in one area. And those cards always move to the left. So that means where he just explored, you know that next turn he's gonna build, and you know the turn after that he's gonna attack. And when they attack, they put like this blight tokens on the map. And when there's a certain number of blight tokens on the map, you lose the game. You win the game by either destroying them all, or based on the fear level, because the fear is kind of a something that you increase your fear with some cards, and they fear you. And so if there is like, if you're like fear level 3 or 2, I don't remember. If there is no more big cities, you also win the game. If you are fear level 3, I think if there's no, yeah, I think that's that. And if you reach this last fear level, you automatically win the game. So it's kind of abrupt when you win. You're like, oh, I just won. So that's a little bit weird, but because you can calculate everything, it's so great. It's so great. And the spirits, they play completely different. There's one spirit, he can't destroy anything. He can't kill anything. He can only win with fear. So he probably tries to move the guys around so that when they just explode, you move them somewhere else so that they cannot build there. And then you try to do fear cards and try to survive like this. It's really fun. I have another extension waiting up there somewhere with 8 new spirits. Yeah, there's so much game in this box. I think there are 8 spirits in the main box. I have first expansion with 2 more spirits and a bunch of other stuff. 2 more spirits that I bought individually, like promo spirits, and I have 8 more. So much game in this. If you like solo game or like 2-player games, this is really a great game. If you like co-op games, it's a fantastic game. I really love this game. It's probably my favorite solo game right now. And that's Spirit Island, and that's it for this video. Well, I wish you all a nice month, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.